Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
Sweet old ladies.
And Barca is going to try to ride that broom, but she can't.
Yeah, I was like...
Barca was a little bloodthirsty, though.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve. Where all levels of nerd are welcome, whether you're in training in a new city or not. I don't know why we had to do the all that or not thing. I think
just kind of
Corey
happened.
and Josh, you guys did that. I
mean, that was
feel
mainly, I think, a Corey thing.
Yeah, it's dogmatic now, and I feel pressured. But anyways, sometimes our life journey brings us to new places, new heights, and even comes at us earlier than we expected. Today marks a special day for some of our hosts, me, and some of you. I don't know. We'll find out. And and our listeners, because they've been clamoring, wanting more films from the wonderful Studio Ghibli or Ghibli, wherever you're from. Both are valid and accepted here. But without further ado, let's just bring in the topic. We're soaring in the skies with Kiki's Delivery Service.
Ba, 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 ba.
That was the saddest air horn I've heard.
I know.
Ba, ba, ba.
I didn't
That's
want to
great,
blow out
man.
the... Ba, 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 ba.
There
Yeah,
you
there
go.
you
If you're going to do it, you commit, Josh.
Yeah. Or you just do the song that's in the beginning that is actually, anyways, I'll talk about that in a little bit because we're not in spoilers yet.
Yep.
But let's get into it. Let's introduce the host today. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
And I am Josh. And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by
Patreon.
As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks. You get things like bonus episodes, like this past month, we talked about gatekeeping and what to do about it. We talk about all sorts of interesting things. We even take topic suggestions from the Nerd On Nation, and they're just kind of like, they're raw episodes. They're just, we don't do any editing. Sometimes I catch my other hosts in like the middle of a sentence and I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
patrons. And they're like,
In the middle
what
of a
the
thought.
fuck, Josh?
Yeah. I'm like, well, I was not ready. Okay, I guess we're starting
Well,
now.
it's like
We're
the
starting.
opposite of The Sopranos.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
start at the middle of the sentence.
Yes. So yeah, we got those bonus episodes. We have, you get early access to all of these episodes. You get what we call the Nerd On Nudge on our other weekly show, which is the Nerd On Update, in which we answer your questions first. We just dropped some new tiers last week, so the nation was asking us here and there to reinstate some tiers that we had back in the day, so we did. So check those out, and we're really close to a goal over there. Just a few more patrons, and we will reach 60 members. And the goal, the thing that happens when we do that is nothing. No, I'm just kidding. You, the Nerd On Nation, gets to pick a topic for one of our episodes. And
Pretty
so
cool.
if you want to get involved, get excited, head on over there. Lots of fun perks. You also get access to our Discord server. There are secret channels on there just for Nerd On Nation members, so check that out. The Patreon is nerdon.tv/Patreon, and the Discord is nerdon.tv/Discord. And a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. They have made the past year of recording remote content, and today is our last remote session.
It's the last one.
Anyway, they have made the past year and our ability to make content
Doable.
Bearable.
smooth,
Bearable and good.
smooth AF. But we probably would never have, if Apogee hadn't reached out and said, "Hey, try this." The hype mic is just, I can't speak more good about it. It is just amazing. So I highly suggest it anytime somebody's asking for a USB microphone. Check out the Hypogee.
Hypogee Mike.
Hey, Apogee, reach out. I've got ideas.
Apogee.
Oh, dear.
So check out the Hype Mic. Mac, PC, iOS.
Phone.
Boom. Check it out. And Odyssey headphones. It doesn't matter what you choose with them. We're using their LCD ones. We use their Mobius. Just quality products and a quality company. Check them out. Shout out to Grover. He's dope. But yeah, and also one last piece. Stop by. Rate and review us wherever you listen. Share us with your friends and family. Those ratings and reviews do actually, they help. People see those and they're like, oh, hey, this guy thinks the show is dope. I probably will too. Yeah.
You know what?
Oh, here it comes.
I see your
Here it
reviews, and I, you know what?
Here it comes.
I didn't call them out, but for all of 2021, there's some right now. So MX Sandy 12, Why You Want to Know 1985, Jacqueline Lee, thank you so much for your reviews. I feel like I'm being heard when I say that getting reviews from you all is like getting on your broom and traveling away for the very first time to a new city and starting up a new life. Like, it's that kind of exciting. You're just like, oh my God, I don't know what it's going to be,
like
but I'm
way
really
too young
excited.
to be doing this, but you know.
Just shut up. I can do what I want. I'm an adult, Josh. But yes. So send in your reviews, and I'm going to give you a little shouty outy. I wish I hadn't winked.
I have an any.
And on with the show.
I was going to say, please, somebody take this, but it's Tom's turn.
Yeah.
me.
Tom, do some words now, please.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So now we'll move on to our first two segments of the show. Actually, this is a multi-segmented show. Also, pour one out for the homie host Corey, who couldn't be with us today.
Very
Because
sad.
this is typically a 4-person show because I'm going to introduce some new things if you're brand new. So right at now, our first segment is actually kind of deals with the end of the show, because at the end of the show we're going to rate it. So that brings us to
Guess That Grump.
I'm sorry.
Guess
You know-
that grump.
Good, very good.
Thank you. Thank you for the end button.
It is different when it's not a quartet.
Yes.
I know.
But yeah, if you're brand new, Guess That Grump is the segment where we're going to go around the digital screen soon, just around the table, and guess who is going to have the lowest score from 1 out of 5, no matter how high the number is. Now, if you are familiar with our show, typically we don't do this part of the show. So now I'm going to ask the host to write down their number. And again, it could have a little decimal point, but typically it's just a number. Now, so that it won't be influenced by the audience or by their guesses or anything like that. So, since I always explain, and this is brand new, and then we've never done that last part before, Caitlin, how about you go first? Oh, I have to write these down now.
My first experience watching it with my initial reactions. Is that what you're talking about?
No, our Guess That Grump, our number. Who do you think is going to be the grump of the episode?
Wow, my brain just like went
The segment before that
absolutely white noise. I
Thanks.
think it's gonna be Josh.
one.
I
vote
can't
for
pick Tom.
Josh.
I cannot pick Tom. He wanted
Okay.
this episode so badly. His
Okay.
soul was gonna leave his body.
and
if
that's why we
didn't
just
do it
kept
this weekend.
moving it around the schedule, so we didn't
Yeah.
do what Tom wanted.
Yeah.
just like the Big Lebowski.
This
Yeah.
is true. It took like a year and a half to do that episode.
Mm-hmm. Josh, your vote?
This is hard because this is a beloved movie. I think because I have no really other choice. I'm going to say Caitlin.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of like-
choice.
I have no real choice here.
Okay,
true.
one vote for Caitlin, one vote for Josh, and then that leaves me, and I'm going to vote for Josh. I'm going to vote for Josh, so that's 2 for Josh, 1 for Caitlin. And if you are listening right now, listeners like you, if you're driving and you're about to just like crash into something because you're like, oh my God, they're so dumb, they should have voted for this. Let me tell you how you could be a part of the show. Let me tell you how you can get involved. If you join that Nerd On Nation, you can get involved into the voting segment of Guessing That Grump, like our other Nerd On Nation wonderful members. And they guess, and then they get shouted out at the end of the episode.
Shout.
They get shout, let it all out. These are the things. Anyways, they get shouted out at the end of the episode if they're right. And the Nerd On Nation has spoken.
Yes.
And Josh, it's
Not
me.
me. I know. I was gonna-
Really?
It's me.
That kids is what you call a redirect.
Yes. Out of those votes, thank you for everyone that voted. 71% voted for me. So I'm not going to say what the rest of the numbers are.
Well.
But Caitlin, you had no votes. So there's that.
So I'm going
now-
last.
Yes. So right there, the votes also inform us the order which we have. So we have Caitlin for 1 vote, myself for 1 vote, and Josh has 2 votes. So Josh will go last. Caitlin and I can battle to the death. Whoever wants to go first.
We'll fight.
Yes. We'll carry on and go to the complete spoiler of that, which is our initial reactions and our first impressions of this film. I think Caitlin wanted to go first since she jumped in.
She transferred in time, so
Yeah.
My soul left my body momentarily, and then I came back from the future. So in this moment, yes, my initial reactions, because I had only, as much as I love Ghibli and everything, preparing for this episode was the first time I'd ever seen Kiki's Delivery Service.
And let everyone know this is still be spoiler free. But yes, this is
we're not doing no spoilers right now.
Yeah.
But this, I had only known about some aspects of the movie through Tom, because Tom talked about it with a lot of love and reverence. And of course, there it is in front of his face, like petting his face.
I feel
with
like
it.
we need a sound effect right there.
But yeah, so I don't know what I had expected this movie to be, and I was a little surprised because it was a little bit more as much as there's like magic and witchcraft and all of that, it wasn't the kind of whimsy I was expecting.
it's a little more watered down.
It's much more watered down. And
It's not no Princess Mononoke or Howl's Moving Castle.
Right. Which is what I've come to expect, because that's most of the Ghibli movies that I've seen have had, prevalent magical aspects. Not
They're
to say
like
that they weren't in here.
You're
but lots
thrown
of
into a
magic.
magical world
Right.
instead of like kind of a magical person in our world.
Right. So that's more of what this was, the coming of age a little bit. But I had some strong things to say, but I can't say them right now.
Okay.
Go Tom.
So she didn't like the movie.
Don't say that.
I'll go next since Josh called me out. So with planning our show and which podcast we're gonna do, we
Here it
like
comes.
plan out months in advance.
This is
And
true.
I've always just floated maybe Kiki's Delivery Service. Like, and it's always like to
We have
me,
a
I
monthly
always-
meeting where we discuss this.
Yeah.
Where we touch base. We're like, hey, everybody good with the let's fill in a couple more spots, and Tom, "Oh, what about Kiki's Delivery Service?
And I'll always say like
Much
this.
louder
I'm
than
never
that, but
I'm never going to be stopping progress if we find an episode that like people want to listen to, that's whatever. But this was like, we could always do Kiki Delivery Service. That was just my MO. This is my absolute favorite of all the Studio Ghibli films. First time I watched it was late night on the Disney Channel. And I remember like it was like, okay, cool, the whatever, my mom's got a date with the vampire, or like episodes of Smart Guy was over, and then it's like I got to the late programming, and then this is like, ooh, this is Saturday night, and it's like 11 o'clock, and what are we watching? What is this little fat rabbit dude on a blue screen? Oh, that's okay, whatever. Oh, this is pretty music, and oh, this is nice. This is like cool 2D drawn. Like this looks very different than any other Disney movie. And I watched it like multiple times on that channel because they would just have it part of their programming on certain weekends or days. And so easily it has a nostalgia factor for me. But I've rewatched it like later on in high school, then in college. And, this is a movie that I always come back to. I find that coming of age stories and that kind of storytelling is something that really intrigues me because
you're
is
still
so-
coming of age.
yeah, I'm still coming of age. But also, it's not like what is seen as normal story structure and writing. You don't see a lot of it, and there's not a lot of classes or people talking about how to write a story like that. You hear them like, okay, well, here's your hero, here's the protagonist, here's the lesson. You know,
oftentimes those
like
stories are kind of like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like those stories tend to be based on the writer's like experience of life. Like it's not like a formulaic hero's journey, so to speak, though there is
a journey.
There is a journey, but it's oftentimes the events of these coming of age stories are often pulled from somebody's actual
experiences.
But
I would say like with most of the Ghibli films are all coming of age stories. And this one just kind of like, to Caitlin's point, like resembles a real world as much as it could. But there's a lot of nice metaphor and references or allusions. But yeah, so I loved it. And so I watched the English dub Friends. You Have a Friend in Me. Because I've watched it in dub multiple times. I've watched it in sub maybe once or twice. But I enjoy the dub a lot. And I think there is an energy to it that kind of like is so very early anime in a way. And I know Miyazaki does not technically appreciate anime, but it has that energy when it was dubbed in this way. And something that I learned, this is not a huge spoiler, but this DVD that I'm holding up has a different dub than what you would see in HBO Max. And even though all the voice actors are the same, most of the music is the same. There are key differences. So the song that gets played at the very beginning, or like little musical cues that are completely gone. I'm like, I remember a sound effect being here. I remember another sound effect being here. What was that?
I said, yay, licensing.
Yeah, and so like it's funny. I think whenever we dive into one of these Studio Ghibli films, it's always going to be like, okay, so did you do the first dub or the second dub, or did you do the remaster Blu-ray version?
It was very interesting trying to find like even just researching for this episode of like, which one am I watching?
Uh-huh.
and not a lot of people talk about this film, and like this is I think one of Miyazaki's earlier films, so it's it's not revered as much as like Spirited Away or Totoro or anything like that. But Josh, what are your thoughts?
What's going on, everybody? You know me. You know who I am. The
non-anime boy.
I'm the uncultured swine. So I can't keep it up.
Pulse.
I've never seen this movie. Still, even that. No, I'm just kidding.
You haven't seen it at all. Here we go. Let's talk.
First time I saw this was preparing for this. It's just always been on the periphery. We've talked about other Ghibli films, and like I think my first experience was like Princess Mononoke or something like that. Completely different.
A lot more bloody.
Yeah. There's a lot more fantastical things with like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, the other ones that we've done. And so this one was an interesting experience because you're like, that I've always seen it, like it's a beloved film. It's like one of those like, oh, Kiki's Delivery Service. And so I didn't really know what to expect, so to speak. And so getting into it, it was very different than what I might have expected from a Ghibli. Not a bad thing. It was just like, oh, okay, it's a little bit more slice of life-ish. It's a little bit more slow moving. It's not, the magical part of it isn't as much of like a key thing. But I enjoyed it. There are a lot of aspects of this that I was like, that is beautiful.
I want to add on to that because like, typically I'm the guy that makes all the crude jokes, but like there's something about this film and also with this episode, like Kiki's Delivery Service for me is like, it's just pure. It's very like high spirited.
There's a lot of very aww moments.
Yeah, but it's not very like, we have to save the spirit of the forest, and it's like, oh my god, the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, we're mourning the health of a family member. It's like it's a journey, but it's to me it's the whimsy. It's so like lively, and it feels like it's like you see old documentaries of Miyazaki being like, these clouds should be happier, and I'm like, oh my god, I see that. I see that in this.
I mean, I will say, just like, because this isn't a spoiler or a favorite part, but R.I.P. Phil Hartman. I was like watching this. I was like, man, it was interesting as somebody who grew up on like 80s, early 90s SNL, like Phil Hartman being the voice of Gigi. I was like, because he was sadly taken from this world in a horrific way very soon after the release of this. And so it was just nice to hear his voice again. It was like, oh yeah, Phil Hartman. So R.I.P. Phil Hartman. But yeah, that's my initial.
Well, with that, we'll move on to our next two segments, which are going to be our brief synopsis and our production. Still spoiler free to get you all excited about this film.
Yes.
Brief synopsis.
That will be handled by me. In this anime feature, 13-year-old Kiki moves to a seaside town with her talking cat, Gigi, to spend a year alone in accordance with her village's tradition for witches in training. After learning to control her broomstick, Kiki sets up a flying courier service and soon becomes a fixture in the community. But when the insecure young witch begins questioning herself and loses her magic abilities, she must overcome her self-doubt to get her powers back. Dun dun. No, it's not nothing
Sorry. And then our production?
Our production will be read by moi. So this was distributed by the Toei Company, who's done things like Space Pirate Captain Harlock, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. The director is Hayao Miyazaki, who did Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle. The producer, also Hayao, oh my gosh, I'm saying his name wrong. Miyazaki, Only Yesterday the Cat Returns in Banyo. And the writer, wouldn't you guess it?
Whoa!
Hayao Miyazaki, Porco Rosso, Lupin III, Castle of Cagliostro.
Yeah, you got it.
Princess Mononoke. This was based off a book, if I remember, though. A series.
But I don't think so, but I'll take a quick look while you get the cast.
Take a quick peep on that, because I remember him saying that something, an interview with Miyazaki was, oh yes, this was based on a series, and I actually spoiled something for the series by putting it in this movie.
Oops.
Much to the writer's chagrin.
Adapted from the 1985 novel by Aiko Kadano.
There it is.
Yep.
Called, is it of the same name?
I think it's of the same. Yeah, Kiki's Delivery Service.
Okay,
Same
perfect. Cool. I just wanted to make sure that got in there so that we knew that Miyazaki didn't write the whole thing. It was adapted from something else.
Yes.
Okay, so the cast. So we're going to do the Japanese and the English, and we're only going to do a couple since there's a lot going on here. So Minami Takayama from Detective Conan, Ranma Half, Full Metal Alchemist, and Kirsten Dunst from Spider-Man, Melancholia, Interview with the Vampire, Rei Sakuma from Hamtaro, Tenchi Muyo, GXP, and Pokemon XY, Phil Hartman, Jingle All the Way, News Radio, The Simpsons, Kappei Yamaguchi from Ranma Half, Inuyasha, and Death Note, Matthew Lawrence from The Hot Chick, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Boy Meets World.
Matthew Lawrence.
Matthew Lawrence. So the release date for this was July 29th, 1989. The runtime is 103 minutes. The budget was somewhere in the ballpark of 6.9 million, and it grossed 39.2 million.
Ah, so it did okay.
It's fine. It's
right.
fine, I guess. The Rotten Tomato score is a 98% from critics, from 41 users, and an 88% audience score from 10,000 plus users. So if that gives you kind of an idea of some of the background stuff and what people thought of it, that kind of thing, that's it for the production side.
Now we'll go into the complete spoilers and spoiler-full city. So everyone, if you haven't listened to already, pause the episode and come back. I'm glad you're back. Now we can go talk about the spoilers of Kiki's Delivery Service. So now we go to our favorite parts, favorite characters, our qualms, and finally our rating.
Yes.
I've been doing a lot of talking. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I mean, first of all, I'm just gonna. It's kind of an overarching thing. The backgrounds and environments, like,
oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
it's like
so
a painting.
beautiful.
Like, it's just.
If I can get stills and blown up, I would have them as paintings in my.
There
house.
were some backgrounds where you could just like pause the scene and you're like you're like looking at like even if you just look specifically at like flowers in one. I think the beginning scene
for sure
in the kind of greenhouse kind of thing. If you look at the flowers, I mean, it literally just looks like you're looking at like a painting, and it's really beautiful. And when they're doing some of the long shots of the city, It's beautiful when I was watching it, and it was cool to read that it was inspired by multiple different cities, but it reminded me of some cities in Portugal, and some of it's based on Lisbon. And having been to Lisbon, it's like, yeah, Portugal's a lot of hills. I'll just tell you that. If you're going to go to Portugal, it's a lot of hills.
Work them thighs.
Work them thighs.
There's so much for me with this film. I absolutely love Gigi for sure, because performance by Phil Hartman, again, is what I'm going to talk about with the dub. It's so great. And it's like, to me, it was like proto Squidward. It was very like matter of fact. Let's be grounded. Your broom is nice. Let's take your mother's. Like that kind of stuff. Where it's just like, it's like, oh, you see that cat there? It's such a snob. Or it's like, but Kiki, that's a nice man. Like he's a good dog. Like all these things. I'm like, wow. It's like, but there's like a whimsy. There's like a seriousness to it. But also he voices a lot of doubt. And I really. Once you're like watching it as like an adult, you're like, oh, I see. But also, he's just really cute as a character piece, right? Like, if I could have the stuffed animal with him, I totally would. But
when he gets happy when he sees a cup of himself, like he's just like,
No,
hey,
yeah.
it's me.
It's me. Oh, yeah. Like, I don't know. So one thing in particular, there is a song at the beginning when Kiki takes her first flight out of her hometown. And in the HBO Max version, which, probably again, different licensing, I think this is actually closer to like the original Japanese, because I remember that song in particular. But in the one that I grew up with, it's like an American song. And it's like, it's got this Des'ree, you gotta be kind of feel to it. And I'm just like, oh, like,
why'd you take that away from me?
I don't take it away. It's fine. I still have it. I literally have it. HBO Max didn't come barreling down the window and be like, this is no more existing.
Give me your DVD now.
this is a bad one.
Destruction.
But the song that they had in this the Disney Buena Vista dub, it also gets me in a way. So if you watch that version, let's just know. But if you watch it on HBO Max, just know like, okay, Tom doesn't really care about that. It's nice. It's a nice like lead into like the journey is starting. And we're going towards like the path, the point of no return. So,
well, I mean, since you're talking about music, I will say that's another like overarching thing that I was like, sometimes you had kind of pop-ish kind of sound or music in there, but then you had these like really beautiful, like orchestrated things that you're like, no, this is like a warm blanket of music. It's yummy.
It's so that scene, it's so like you look like, oh yeah, that is what I would hear if I'm like walking down the street. I feel like, someone would be playing on their like string instruments. I'm like, this is it. Kaylin?
Oh, the bread shop.
The
bread shop. Oh my
It looks
goodness.
so good.
All of it looks so good. I love that her husband is like showing off for Gigi by
Pulls
like
out the
spinning the trays and like
Yeah.
putting them in.
And looks at them and then lightly drops it. Oh man.
It was just so cute. Like all the interactions were so, and the fact that oh my goodness, I'm spacing on her name.
Osono.
Osono. That Osono would let Kiki live there,
Mhm.
and just like the kindness of people who want to see someone who wants to accomplish their dreams, and just like giving them whatever they can within their power to help them do that, while also having, I'm going to help you. I need you to help me a little bit, but I know that you're going to do whatever you can to make this happen.
When she gets sick and has to cancel the delivery service, she's like, I'll help out in the bakery. And it's like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Just
also
good
like
people.
just, yeah. Like,
And the hot chocolate.
mhm.
The hot chocolate got me. When growing up in southern Indiana, I had this lady in our neighborhood who in the winter, all the little kids knew if you like went in your little marshmallow suits over to her house, she would make you hot chocolate, and
I
you
want a
would
marshmallow
get like
suit.
stories for a little while.
No, you don't, Josh.
So that it was just like such a lovely little interaction of like, you want some cocoa? She's like, yeah. It
But
was just
also
really
like
cute.
when they first get into that upstairs room and there's no dust, it's flour. And like, it's like that, again, it's that coziness of like living in a bakery, that kind of thing, but also like the kindness of strangers. And like, I really love like, so in the version that I watched, but not the one that's on HBO Max, I watched that version too. But like, there's a moment when she wakes up on the first day and she has to use the restroom, and the husband comes out and he like stretches, like he like in the one that I watched, he like cracks his neck and it's like much more. I was like, oh my god, and so it's a little like scary for a child,
Oh my
right?
god.
But then when she goes down the stairs, there's like a little dum 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 dum.
Oh yeah.
And in the HBO Max, there's none of that. And so I was like, oh, and so like, you know, if you think of it on both sides, like in the, you know, Disney version, it like, again, it creates that extra layer of cuteness, which is just fun and enjoyable and pure. But then like when you watch it with the HBO Max version, which I'm assuming again is closer to the original, there's just silence, and it's just kind of like, it's this quiet morning, you know, in this, you know, kind of
Which adds its
town.
value too, like of just like presenting that kind of that calmness of it. What was so funny is like I found myself, I'm so used to like certain cliches in like a witch story that like so she's helping those old ladies, those little old ladies, and they're fixing the oven. I'm like, this is gonna be the moment of conflict. This is the dramatic. These are actually gonna be evil witches. They're gonna push her in the oven. Nope. They're just gonna make some.
Nope.
They're just gonna make a little
some
thing.
fish casserole.
Red
That's
herring
it?
pie.
Red herring pie.
And
That's it.
we're gonna move forward, and they're just gonna be sweet old ladies.
And Barca is going to try to ride that broom, but she can't.
Yeah, I was like,
Barca was a little bloodthirsty though.
She is cool auntie. You know, she is cool auntie who is like,
But she was like ready for that blimp to go down.
we don't know their
She was
dark
like,
past.
We don't know her dark past, but she's like, oh my god, we're missing the good part.
But
Let
again,
me watch it crash. What if he dies?
It's a sleepy town. So
We're
like,
filling in backstory. Maybe they're two witches that lost their power because you don't know.
Maybe the woman who owns the house is actually, her power was baking.
Yeah.
Oh, a baking witch.
No, I like
And
the
then
evil part.
Barca might. Well, no, I mean they could be evil. You know, making like a.
They're
Barca's
making
like-
bread out of babies.
Barca's like the henchman that really wishes that they had powers, so
Well,
they
there-
stay
she-
nearby
she's a
someone
squib.
who's very powerful.
She's her
to just
Tombo.
be like, yeah.
She's her
Aw,
Tombo.
She's her Tombo.
Oh, Tombo.
And yeah, Tombo Kapori or Kapori Tombo. I really I like him, and I think that's, again, it's something that Hayao Miyazaki loves to do with like dad characters, or like how men are with women. They're always like kind of with glasses, a little nerdy, but they're always so like sincere and so genuine. And I love Tombo's like, you think he's gonna be like a creep, and then he ends up being like just this really like just am fascinated with this with Kiki as a person, and like how okay so I can't bury the lead anymore. Like, this film speaks to me at such a level because when you really start breaking it down, like, the one thing that I love about Miyazaki films is that it's not a princess, it's not a general, it's not, I mean, it's a normal person that's kind of thrown into these situations. And Kiki isn't like the greatest witch of all time. There's witches in every city. So even as magical as she can fly, she's not even that special to begin with. But like, to the way Tombo looks at her and the way Asono looks at her, like, she is everything. She is so cool. She has magic. She can fly. And Kiki doubts herself, right? And the why it resonates with me so much, because it is almost a perfect, if not, it's a 1 degree away from being the story of an artist or creator who moves out to the city. And at the very beginning, it sets it all up where it's like she's listening to the radio. And it's like, you're special. You're planning something special tonight. Might be the night, and it's early. It's a month early, and everyone's like, I thought you were gonna move next month. And it's like, no, this is gonna be maybe the best thing I could do. What happens? It starts raining, like, when she leaves. And what happens before that? She like sees someone who's completed their journey. So there is already that level of like, I this is something that I look up to, is someone who went out for a year, trained, found their skill, and then made it. And then she by every means necessary, by speaking pattern, by how she looks. This other witch has like a more snooty cat, has like, oh yeah, I'm already really good at blah, blah, blah. Like, don't you have another skill? And Kiki again starts to doubt herself. And then she goes into a big city. That's where her home city is. So there's a lot of envy that goes in. But Kiki's journey kind of resembles, again, like that facet of like what happens when you take your creative passion and turn it into a job.
Well, even the painter, Ursula, in the forest, when Kiki has lost her power, as far as we know, and she's visiting Ursula, and they're out in the forest, and she's talking about a time that she doubted her painting ability, and it's like she didn't know how to do it for a long time. And it's like, as an artist myself, it's like I've had those moments where you just like, there's been times when I've been on stage and these are songs that I have written, and like the doubt creeps in, and you're like, I have no idea what is this thing that I'm holding. This is a guitar. Interesting.
Oh no.
But yeah, like, and she, it's like, it's the comparable to creative burnout, like you just, you work so hard and you're trying to do this thing and you get lost in it, and you meet these people and things are going well and the world is pulling you in both directions at the same time. And, one day it's a bad day. So it's, a day that's worse than the other ones, and it throws you for a spin, and then you kind of lose that feeling, that love and feeling. Right. And, it's like what Ursula says, sometimes you need to go out and recharge and reset. And I think that's something that a lot of people who are, struggling with their creative endeavors worry about, is like, I don't want to be burnt out. I don't want to be a burnout. Well, it's like, well, you are going to burn yourself out, and burnout is okay. And
sometimes you have to do something completely different just to get your mind like
recentered.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we talked in an update a couple of weeks about that. I have this secret skill of unicycling. And what I always used to do, like when I would practice, you practice a lot, but then I would take like a week off. But then you come back and it's like you were practicing. It's like your body was like, hey, we got this. And like when you take some time off, I don't know. There was a point.
Yeah, you recenter yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you can only do something for so long before you've done it too much. And then you need a kind of processing time to let it sink in, let it be part of you, recover a little bit, and then come back to it.
Yeah, and
you can't just pelt yourself with a thing, or you will explode.
And they show her that Kiki was delivering like a bunch of places, and she was putting herself out by doing it, and it was costing her that like balance of like wanting to be a girl, like a regular person in a city that wants to like explore and meet new people, and like she resets by going out into nature and kind of reattunes herself to being like, what is flying to you? What is your power? What is the thing that makes you special to yourself? What is that to you? And I love that like the power comes back to her, not because like, oh, and I'll go save someone, not like a superhero kind of thing, but more like because it's what I do. It's like flying is what I do. It's not like a job for me, but it's something that is part of me. Yeah. And I think that easy. Was like it was such a good elemental thing where it's like, people who I think struggle to find what, makes them, different or what they want to do. It's like, well, you do the thing because simply you must. Like there's no other way for you to quote unquote express yourself into the world. And so like storytellers have that craft. It is a storytelling craft, and they may be terrible at it for many years, but that's the only thing they know how to do, is to tell stories or to be part of a story, or to create music, to take photography that makes you feel like you're in the place. So there's a lot of things that I think that pressure us, and that's why like I felt like it's almost like a very good millennial story, even though it was made in the early 90s. And it's like it's become such a way because like a bunch of young people now like do what Kiki's doing, and there's a lot of pressure to find a profession within the field that you're actually interested in. And
she's really a symbol for Postmates.
I wouldn't say that, but but definitely could use the marketing if they wanted to go up a little bit. But I just love the film, and also just there's wonderful like little notes of like the mother giving her the broom and like wearing the purple dress, even though she's like, I like I would look better in lilac, and it's like, well, this is the like this has been passed down for many years, so it's like everything telling you and signaling to what you're watching of like this dogmatic tradition of like, yeah, it's your time to leave, but also like hold on to like those things of tradition and like the broom breaking. And remember, the first thing that she wanted to do was use her own broom, but she never does because sometimes life comes at you fast, and like what she ends up using from the end of the film is a new broom that she just took out of necessity. And so it's like, it's not the broom, it's the witch, like. And I always say it's like, it's not the crayon, it's the the colorist, it's the painter. So other favorite parts, sorry.
My last favorite part is the first delivery and the toy and like
the
Gigi,
dog.
the dog, like just so nonchalantly, just like kind of knows what's up, comes, brings Gigi out, takes the toy, and it's just like, that was a good dog.
He's a good dog.
He's a good dog.
And if we can ask Jeff, he'll take it in for us.
Jeff. I love that his name is Jeff.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
so good.
That I love when Tombo's creation, that like that flying bike thingy. Like, again, Miyazaki, I think, has a way where it's like, it makes you feel like you wanted to do those things when you were a kid. And when you're watching as a kid, you're like, I want to make something like that. And Miyazaki, it's his signature, flying, his obsession with flying, but also his not disdain, but I guess critique for man-made constructions, man-made machines. The dirigible is a big, giant, ungodly gray monster thing, which, like, oh my God, look at that, it's a dirigible. But then Kiki's right there, like, she could do exactly what that thing could do.
She's like, I can fly.
Yeah. And so like there's that cool, like, you still see Miyazaki in the film that way, even though it's an adapted work from a book. So like, it's, it's still all there. And I mean, I like, also I just enjoy like the end, and I forget if that's in the HBO Max version, but like she gives a letter to her dad and the mom, and they're all like reading it, and then like it's kind of like a same thing that happens with the beginning where like the mom explodes a potion, the dad like drops a thing. Like, it's like the fun, clumsy thing, but it's like, again, it's a coming of age story that feels like things are going to be okay, and things are going to be all right. And it's like, I love this movie. I just love this movie.
That's why I didn't pick Tom. This is why I didn't pick Tom.
And this is why.
I also really love the crows, like the misunderstanding about, the egg stealer, and just like making that such a big thing that she couldn't go back for it, because it was like, oh yeah, just double back, you'll be fine. And it's like, oh no. There is a murder of crows about to live up to their name right now, so you should leave.
Not the crows.
Not the crows. But yeah, I just and then like I love how it circled back, because eventually when she goes into the woods with Ursula, she like gets to talk to them and be like, hey, sorry about that big misunderstanding. And I like that they get to like smooth it over, that kind of thing. Yeah, there were a lot of nice little touches in here. It was cute.
Also, like when she gets into the train on her first night and she just like says sorry to the cows. It's like, sorry, we didn't mean to fall asleep in your breakfast. And I was like, just a nice, like everyone here is
So
just a nice
sweet.
person.
Yeah, everybody's
Everyone
nice.
here is such a nice person. Even the snooty kids. And I love the scene where like she's flying with Tomba, or she's riding on a bike with Tomba for the first time, and she immediately feels like an outsider because those kids have like more fashionable clothes, they have a car, they seem cool, and you see like that snooty girl that like, oh, Grandma made one of her herring pies again.
And then you see her again, and you're like,
you see, well, she's in the car, and she's like,
like
she's like, she delivered something to my house for my birthday. Like, really? She works? Like, they're more in awe that like at such a young age she's working. And like, and I think that also is like the millennial plight, where it's like at a young age you start working as soon as you can, so you can quote unquote save up the money to pursue your actual dream, to live. Where like the people your age, for some reason, and you know who they are, somehow have avoided the harder life that you've had. And it's just such a weird thing, and like you don't hate them for it, but like you just feel outside of it, like I don't relate to what you're going through.
Man, let me just say that so many of those instances were so
Real.
real.
So real.
Like being in college and having like 3 jobs at once to pay for school and pay for rent and
Hell
pay for
yeah.
food and pay for books and pay for supplies because I was an art student. And then like while you're in transit from thing to thing, seeing someone your age in really nice clothes walking around with like a Starbucks and like 3 shopping bags, and you're like, what is
How?
that like?
How?
To have not only like you're not even worried about how much money you spend, but you have the time to go look at all of these things. Like you have the time to meander and do whatever you want. And then you just like the flopping on the bed at the end of the day where you're just like, I don't even have the energy to keep up with things at my own home, let alone go, even get the lilac dress I want or the shoes that she was looking at. Like so much of your world is limited. And then you come across people who are like, oh, you're not like me. And you're like,
You don't have a car?
no,
No.
God,
The hell?
no.
No.
But also like I love the turn of when she loses her power. She's like, why are you talking like a cat? Oh no. And then, like you didn't even like for me as a kid, I remember that blew my mind. I was like, you could just lose your powers? And I was like in the magical world, like you were like, oh my
No.
God, that's such a crazy thing. And then again, if it's like you start looking, it's like, oh yeah, it's like when you stop being able to do the thing that you love. And it's just like it's hard and you try to work it, but you're just burnt out. And like there's a nice music cue where it's like discordant like strings being played in the Disney version, and like when Gigi walks away, but it's just like that sudden turn and you're like, oh no, all is lost. And like Kiki feels that way. It's like, I'm still a witch in training. If I lose my magic, I've lost absolutely everything. And like that point you're saying, like, it's so real. I remember feeling like I got to do this job. I'm late and I got to make it back to this thing. And then like, you just stop. You just like, who cares? Because I'm going to be late anyways. And also I'm a mess. Like all my clothes are dirty and there's no point in me.
I'm
like,
not presentable for this. I'm not in the mood for this.
Yeah.
I'm not like, you just get to that ultimate fuck it zone that you just don't, you don't care.
I don't even care it's late.
Yeah.
You don't
I
even
don't care. I don't.
Yeah.
So
don't give a shit.
it's and like, yeah, I feel that so much that I was like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. But no, I absolutely. Also, last one thing I want to say, I love that Gigi and Prissy Cat end up having little babies.
A prissy cat reminds me of
they were
my
so
and they have
cute.
like a little dumb
my
Gigi baby.
Morwena. When she came on, I was like, oh yeah, because my Morwena, she's just this prissy white fluffy cat, and you're like, yeah,
So
she
cute.
knows she's pretty.
Yeah, she do.
Gigi's down the street being like, okay.
Oh my God.
Favorite,
any other favorite
characters?
parts? Yeah, favorite characters then. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Are we doing
We'll do 2.
2?
Just 2.
In general.
Yeah, just 2.
What was it? Jeff?
Jeff the dog.
Jeff the dog is my absolute favorite character in the entire movie.
He's the best boy.
I wish him the best in his life, however long it may be. And then second up, Asono.
Awesome.
Asono. I love Asono. Just how warm and caring and kind and giving and joyful. She just laughs at like she's like, ha!
Don't
You're
burn yourself on the
hilarious."
oatmeal.
Yeah.
So nice.
So she big mom energy there. She was very cute. And that she's like running her own business with her husband. There's, she's a very industrious woman. She has the wherewithal to be able to give Kiki a job, like that was very cute.
And then you see her with the baby at the end.
Yeah. It was great.
Josh, you're me.
I mean, I love Kiki. I love her, not plight, but just her journey through this and just what we've already talked about. Just the struggle and rising to the challenge, like literally and figuratively rising to the challenge.
When she flies, though, it doesn't get like Man of Steel vibes with the hair.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And I mean, Gigi. I mean,
Yeah.
I love any time he's on the screen and just all his cat antics.
Yeah, mine's the same. Kiki and then Gigi. I feel like, and that's the thing where I really adore is with Kiki is like she sees that other witch, and then she sees Ursula as like the actual like you are the actual mentor, but you're also my friend.
I mean, she is like she's also like she's a strong female character. Like
Yeah, but she's just a regular girl, and to me I'm like, this is the programming. This is what you leave your kid to watch, not whatever you see on your streamers right now, but Ghibli films and Kiki's Delivery Service. More likely like Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah, maybe not Princess Mononoke for your
maybe when
7-year-old.
maybe when they're like 7 years old, then you could
No,
give them
older than that, Tom. Jiminy Christmas. That 7 is way too young for that.
Okay, fine, 9 years old. That's
is
fine.
it though?
Yes.
Qualms?
That's a lot of terror, like dark and
Yes.
things
Say,
when
yeah.
I was my age. So I mean, I'm
That's
just
like way later. Anyway, qualms.
Qualms.
Tom's
Who's
not
ready for the
gonna have
qualms?
none. Tom, you're not gonna have any, are you?
Okay, I'll go first. Spoilers. I have none. Maybe
Oh,
I'll say
wow,
like
what? Oh.
to me, my definitive edition is this Walt Disney Buena Vista dub, but like the one on HBO Max is just fine too. And if I was going off that, the score would probably be like maybe a little bit lower. But I'm going off this one, off this one.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
rubbing
No
it all
qualms
over
for
his
me.
face.
Mhm.
Josh.
I don't really have any real qualms. I mean, one, I would say
You
one
could,
might argue.
you could end it there. That's fine. Okay.
I would say that one might argue that it's a little slow. But it's not something that I hold against it. It's not meant to. It's not any of the other Ghibli films. Like if I were to say and legitimately say that it's slow, that means I did not understand the film whatsoever. It's like, were you watching the same film?
I mean, and like we talked about it too, actually, in our Spirit Away episode of like there is a sense of ma that happens in Japanese films. I think particularly in Japanese animation of like the breath that happens before like important sequences. So
Yeah.
like just shots of the city before we actually get to Kiki in her room.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, it is that it is a slice of life film, and it's not meant to. I mean, because life isn't all. Yes, there is magic qualities to it. There is magic in it, but it's not really the focus of the film. It's Kiki's journey of just like really just like living. You know, she just happens to have this power, but it's you know the usual like spirit's journey kind of thing where she's sent out. It's part of the culture to go out and kind of quote find yourself and learn how to be yourself, and you know, and that's not always like this.
It's not like a crime action movie where it's like put in these results. 2 minutes later, I got the results. It's like no, this is
no.
this is
Sometimes
pretty-
it's like it takes weeks for something to actually progress.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's life. Kaylin.
I've been thinking on it for a while, and I don't really have any.
Oh my god.
I don't really have any qualms.
Are we going to be in trouble with the Guess That Grump segment or with our rating? We'll find out.
We might be,
Oh.
because I have more to say, but I'm not going to say it until the end
What the?
when we give our scores.
Flip the
'Cause then-
script. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I
okay.
know. Well, it's because it's not. They're not.
Stop. We'll
Yep.
we'll get there and you'll just say it. So now with kind of no qualms ish, one ish, if it's a reach, we'll go on to our rating. And so
Rating.
Kaylin and I, who you want to go first, Kaylin?
You know what she's gonna say.
What am I going to say, Josh?
You're gonna say Tom go first.
And then
Yeah,
I'm going to say she's
Tom
going to
go
say
first, and he's going
I'm
to
going to
say,
say Kaylin go first.
yeah, of course, and I'm
And
going
then-
to say 5.
Yep.
But
But
I will say, this film did not resonate with me.
Hmm?
Like almost, it almost like I saw so much of my own life in it that it wasn't like a joy to watch. It wasn't. It was just like I remember that.
I don't be
remember
reminded of
that.
responsibility. God.
Well, and for me, Gigi's voice going away too was like it to me. It was like because they say that it's her self-doubt. Gigi is her self-doubt, and then when Gigi stops talking, that's like a sign of the powers being lost. But also when it doesn't come back, the self-doubt is gone and your powers have returned. Like But something about that kind of made me just sad because it was as if the joyful childish excitement you get has to go away for you to grow up. That's what it felt like. Not saying at all that that's like what the intention was or anything that.
I think that is an astute point because I think there is that level of like, like I thought about this too. And there's a moment where she is being picked up by her dad and he's like, I don't know. And there's a funny meme where it's like, it's kind of sad to me. I think it's funny. It's like, did you know that there's a day that your parents never picked you back up?
Yeah.
And then I just thought, oh my God. But like to your point, it does feel like, the moment adulthood starts,
Parents
all the
pick
things in your
people up?
childhood.
No, just kidding.
Yeah, all the things like once your adulthood stops, your childhood must stop.
Yeah,
and it's an abrupt change. But I feel like again, not your point, but like this film kind of like shows you maturing and keeping it. But to you again, you're like it's a very jagged.
It was when there was so much that was already like hard for her to deal with and everything else. It felt like every comfort that you had from home had to go away.
Like the food that
broom.
Gigi's licking is like looks cold. It doesn't look alive anymore.
It doesn't look like the food doesn't look good anymore. She doesn't really get to talk to Gigi anymore. She doesn't have her mother's broom or anything like it.
She's like, don't talk to me again.
Yeah, it's just like so much is gone away from her life. I know you're being facetious, but still.
No, I'm like, where she's like, don't talk to me ever again. And she hangs up the phone. And it's a sad thing because it's like her spirit's broken.
Yeah.
But like, and I laugh at it because it's more like, yeah, it is really hard. And it's not like I enjoy someone in pain, but like, that's my bread and butter versus I know like for you, it's not. You see the beauty in it, but it doesn't make it so like, I love this movie.
And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of like, it makes a lot of sense to me that you really enjoy this film because you love the like tortured, it's really hard, it's just gonna keep getting hard and smack you in the face a little, but also there's like the joyful hope at the end, like it's not all dreary sadness, and like there's an appreciation for the hard work that goes into it. Like a lot of that makes sense, but for me it just didn't have enough of the like the light fluff that comes with working through that. And the having only a week to kind of go out, like the idea of going out for a week and then that being enough, kind of, to me, for me personally, I think it would have almost been more effective to work through the burnout and then have a moment to reflect on it.
In my, I guess, counter would be like, she is 13. I would say children tend to be a little bit more resilient than adults. So like when we get hurt, like it hurts adults, newsflash, it hurts adults a lot longer than children. But she just might have to talk about it with a therapist one day.
Right. Oh, for sure.
But like,
absolutely,
I don't think
he's totally getting counseling.
I don't think the week away was enough. I think it was
not at all.
With that and the fact that like I need to save Tombo's life. And it's not like I love him, but it's more like this is a really nice person who doesn't deserve to die this way. And she saves him. And it's like, I don't know. But yeah, so like I think that was like the catalyst. Again, it's much more like you had the time away. And again, like she has time away and we don't get to see her interact with Gigi yet. And then it's like at the very end, then Gigi's like, like then he comes back and he starts talking. And like I think it's more of the like
Gigi doesn't talk again after a certain point though, right?
He comes right at the very end.
He comes back, but he doesn't speak anymore.
He does.
Does he?
At least in this version he did, but I'm pretty sure he says like, he's like, hello. And then she's like, Gigi. And like, he's like, when everyone's clamoring around her and everyone's like, yay, like she saved the day, blah, blah. And she's like holding Tombo, like he just pops on her shoulder and he says like, he says like something. And
he says something Gigi like.
Yeah.
I don't recall him saying anything after the voice went away. It was just gone forever.
No, it comes back.
Oh.
It comes back.
What?
Yeah. Maybe you had a different experience with the movie.
Maybe I did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
anyway.
yeah, he comes back and he's like, ah, and then she's like, oh my God. And then the movie just ends. The music starts playing and all that stuff. So, but,
all right.
So my vote next, it is definitely a 6.
There.
No, it's a
Breaking
5.
the rules, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had guests who broke the rules before, but I'm not a guest. But yeah, it's a 5. It's easy a 5. I don't know how. I love y'all, Neuro Nation. I don't know if this was a troll move and you're all like, let's just vote for Tom because this is his favorite movie. But like, they're like Spirit Away and I think Princess Mononoke are like more masterpiece like films comparatively. But this will always be my favorite. This like will always be like that part in my heart. And like I think since I got to it at a young age, like it gave me kind of like that thing to lean on of like, oh, this is a wonderful story that like when things get hard, it's okay. And like you will persevere, you will get through it. You might fall and break your broom, but like you will fly again. And like I absolutely loved it. And it's like also like it's tough. It's very easy to be in your emotions and to be rude to everybody. So try not to be rude to like people who don't deserve it and who are around you, who like are just wanting to get to know you. Even if it's your worst day and you're like, and so that's something I always learned about that. But also again, food in here looks so fun good. Anyways, Josh.
Well, it's a 5.
It's a 5.
I watched it a couple of times.
A couple of times.
And there's
I did
really
too.
there's nothing wrong with it. Like it's a movie that like again, like I said, my stretch qualm would be like, oh, it's slow, but it's like wah. But it doesn't ruin the movie. It's not a bad movie. Like it's just because I'm a child and things need to be like exciting and Princess Mononoke or Spirited Away, like crazy shit happening all the time. No, it's not that. But it's a beautiful movie to watch. It was a joy to watch a couple of times. I'll watch it again. Like it's a good movie.
I'll say this, and typically a lot of people have like a top 5 films. This is always in my top 5.
Oh yeah.
So of
That's
all
You had
time,
a staff
all
pick?
time.
It'd be the
Also, I'm going to give it out so that the people of the Neuron Nation who voted, if you were going to guess for Corey, his was also going to be a 5.
Of course it was.
He told us before today that
was
he wouldn't
very
be able to
sad.
make it. Yeah. And so I promised that him and I can talk about it someday because he knows that this is my favorite film, Miyazaki film. So we have a lot of because everyone is a 5. There is no grump, so that means everyone gets
No
a shout out.
grump.
So I'm going to read. I swear I had the image open. There it is,
Did
right
you?
there. I did. So
Okay.
guess what? No one voted for Caitlin. So good job on everyone. But the people who get a shout out for voting for Tom, Heezy Game Media, Mitchell G, Brock P, Matt R, and General G. And the people who voted for Josh in second place, Kristen F and Noe S.
Hey.
So
What up,
all you guys, thank you for voting. Thank you for being part of the Guess That Grump segment. And also, everyone, what did you think? Who did you think was going to be the grump? But also, there was no grump. So there's that. I mean,
so there's that, and I have nothing else to say.
well, Josh. So now you've seen some more Ghibli films. What do you have like
A
an
feel?
after report or a thought of like how these films are and stuff like that? Because I feel like you've now gotten a good gamut.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good gamut of like all sorts of different kinds too. I think if I were to like pick a quote favorite, I mean, I think I'm leaning towards My Neighbor Totoro. But they're
they great?
all. I feel like they're all so different. I do like Spirited Away though. Yeah, we'll
Howl's
just have to
Moving
watch
Castle?
more. We'll
Yeah?
have to do more episodes.
All you listeners that want us to
We
be
haven't
doing
done
these
Princess
episodes,
Mononoke yet, have we?
we have
Not
not.
yet.
Yeah,
We have
okay.
not.
We have not.
That
We've
is,
done this. We've done My Neighbor Totoro, and we've done Spirited Away.
a lot of people say that Spirit Away is the crown jewel. I say Princess Mononoke is the crown jewel.
I have seen Princess Mononoke.
Let's
I
fight.
just don't remember it.
You say let's fight?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go, Tom.
Saw's ready.
I mean, if my film has to fight your film, I think my film wins because it's just more violent.
No,
There's
that's
violence.
That's Oh, I didn't talk about the films fighting, Tom. I said, let's
I know.
fight.
I'm just saying by that rule, all you got is, and he just eats everybody. But no. Yeah. Thank you everyone for letting me do this episode. Letting me have this episode.
No more.
No, last one, Tom.
Last one, no more.
That's
nope.
it.
No prestige.
You don't get to
anyone.
suggest any more
never do
episodes.
No
prestige.
prestige. You got
Ever.
Snyder Cut, and you got
Sip,
Kiki's.
sip. This was my
Sip,
year.
sip. That's
Yep,
it.
That's it. So the next time you get to is 2024.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
So
be a
everyone,
long
Actually,
wait.
that's
everyone,
like legitimate, like probably, no, just kidding.
everyone,
Probably so.
join the Nerd On Nation. Vote for a movie that I want to do, and then we'll get it all solved.
Wow.
We still haven't
Called
done
Double
Fight
Deal.
Club, and Corey's put that on the schedule like
That's
so many
fine.
times.
Whatever.
Five times.
We've done so many of his movies that he wants to do. It's fine.
That's true. That's true. Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. If that is what your chosen way of ingesting us, that sounds so. That's a weird way to put that. But
Consuming.
yeah, if
Consuming
you're
these
listening,
podcasts.
thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. If you would like to check us out, if you're new, check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all of the information. And I totally forgot this. If you want to continue the conversation about Kiki's Delivery Service, head on over to that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a movie channel in there. Let's talk about it. Let's continue the conversation. A lot of fun people over there. That community keeps growing by the week, so check it out. Check out our streams. We are streaming almost daily over on Twitch, nerdon.tv/Twitch. And like we said at the top, if you like what you hear today, stop by, rate, review, share us with your friends and family. That is legitimately how we can grow. Those sharing, the way that we have grown is people sharing. And a lot of our surveys have said that people find us from a friend telling them to watch the show. So, or watch or listen to the show. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourselves. You know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.